So today I have Amanda joining me on the Happier in Motherhood podcast. I am so freaking excited to have you with me today and to share your story. I feel like you have so much wisdom and just really cool stuff to share. And I know everyone's going to love getting to know you. So, for all the mamas who are listening who they don't quite know you yet, tell us who you are and just like a little bit about you.
Hi, so I am Amanda from Amanda Lee Consulting. I am a single mama of two beautiful girls. I have a 10-year-old and a 4-year-old. Both my girls are autistic. I'm autistic as well, so it's autism superpowers up in my household. I am also a Montessori qualified educator, and I have used all of those skills, learned experiences and qualifications to create my business, which is helping families thrive and the day-to-day little things that happen that don't feel like little things at the time and can feel overwhelming. I help families navigate those things, as well as coping with autism diagnoses and what that looks like, and working with mamas that suspect they are or have been diagnosed with autism themselves. And I also homeschool. I homeschool my eldest daughter while my youngest goes to a Montessori school here on the Sunshine Coast in Australia.
Oh my gosh. This is so amazing. Okay, so tell me what it was like when you first learned of the autism diagnosis for your own family, because you were saying like you help mamas who are first finding out and learning how to navigate that. What was that like for you?
Yeah, so it started from really early on with Miss S, my eldest, who's now 10. So as she was developing, there was just little things that kind of stood out. For example, her aversion to really loud noises, and her reaction was sort of different to, typical, if there's such a thing, children her age. But because she is female, females present very differently to boys who are autistic.
Really?
And that's why most girls, a majority of girls, either get misdiagnosed or they remain undiagnosed, or they get diagnosed as an adult like I did, because our presentation is completely different. And the DSM-5, which is the manual that therapists use to diagnose, is actually written about boys. And same with ADHD. Yeah.
Oh
so
my
it's written about
goodness.
boys, not about girls, and girls present completely differently. So many of us fall through the cracks. So with Miss S, when we're going through her diagnostic criteria, I was really kind of advocating for her and saying, look, I'm confident, that there's something going on. And, I was listened to, because I didn't give up. You are your child's best advocate in all situations. So the diagnostic process is pretty fun for children. Like, they just think that it's just playing. It doesn't feel like an assessment for them. It's not some big scary ticking off things. Like, it's not like that.
Yes.
It's literally just a play situation. So we went through that with her, and one of my superpowers being autistic is I can hyper focus on things and really learn a lot in a short period of time, if that is what my interest is. So of course, autism became my interest. So I just immersed in that, did, webinars, courses, you name it. And as I was doing those, there was a few light bulb moments for me. So not only was I answering in my head when Miss S was being asked questions in her assessment, I would answer them in my head, because you just sort of sit there.
Of course, yeah.
And I was answering what she was answering. And so then at the end, the therapist was like, oh, these things are a little bit off and these things were right. And I'm thinking, well, I answered the same thing.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
So there's all these little light bulb moments sort of over time. And I remember doing a webinar that was specifically about autistic girls. And I sat there and I just thought, holy smokes, is everyone not like this? Like, they're talking about me. And so much stuff that I never even knew that I did or didn't do, for example. And I was like, wow. And so I kind of just rolled with it because that's what I do.
Yeah.
And so for the next sort of 4 years or so, just more and more affirmed to me that I was also autistic. And it wasn't until
Yeah.
last year where I thought, oh, I might go and get an assessment done. Why not? It'd be nice to
Yeah.
get the validation, and if I wasn't diagnosed, then I just completely disregard the assessment and just continue on being self-diagnosed anyway.
Totally. Yeah.
I got a specialist, a psychologist that specialized in autistic women. So that's very important to find a practitioner that specializes, if you have girls, for a practitioner that specializes in females. And yeah, did it by Zoom, no dramas. It felt like this. It felt like a conversation. Got a diagnosis, and here we are. And Miss V got her diagnosis through that whole process as well, because I was seeing it from her. So hers was really easy because I already knew what to look for. I already knew the process, I already knew therapists, for example. I didn't have to go hunting and start from scratch. So it's been a pretty easy process, actually. A lot of people get scared. They think that the process is going to be, crazy expensive, which it can be. It can be quite costly depending on where you live. I know you guys have a different healthcare system to what we do in Australia. So, I mean, that would probably play in. But if you have the suspicions, I would recommend getting a diagnosis, because usually, like here in Australia, we can access what's called NDIS support. So that's a government program that, will give you a bucket of funds there that you can use for psychology, occupational therapy sessions with me and my work that I do in courses, parent education, speech therapy, and that kind of thing. So early intervention really is key. And the younger that you can sort of provide these supports to the child, the better. That being said, I would avoid what's called ABA therapies at all costs. So ABA therapy is essentially training an autistic person to fit in with normal people. I, as an autistic person, think that's completely the wrong thing to do, and it's harmful, and you're telling the child or the adult that they're not okay the way they are. And people don't know that, because all of us mums, we want to do the right thing.
Of course.
Everything comes from a place of love, and you think, well, they're the experts, they know.
Right. Oh my gosh. Yes. Yeah.
Right? So it's important to really sit back and go, oh, they're telling my child that everything about them is wrong and they need to act like X, Y, Z and do these expressions. And how does that sit with you? Like, does that sit right with you? It's much rather to be like, well, this is what neurotypical, normal, aka normal, whatever that is, people, this is how they present. This is how you present, and how you present is perfectly fine. Here's some strategies to cope with the gap. That's how I would approach it. So a social security model.
Yes. So how have you, because I've watched you and witnessed how you parent and how you approach this. So how have you created this positive environment to raise your girls in around being autistic? Because I feel like your approach is so unique, and I'd love to hear more of what that actually looks like on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, cool. So what we do is I just encourage the girls that it's okay to be them. And to really listen to their body signals and teach them what those body signals are. And, things like going to the markets, we have really big markets here, thousands of people, or going to big shopping centers. We don't like that. And because I'm also that way, it's pretty easy to relate. But if you didn't relate, like if your child's really struggling, keep those visits short and irregular, space them out, of, don't go ultimately. You don't have to put your whole life on hold, but is it really necessary to go to the busy shopping center to get your groceries, or can you just get click and collect, or it's
totally,
what strategies minimize the distress, things like clothing. I remember as a child, and this is nothing against mum and dad, but I remember as a child these particular socks, and they had all this embroidered sort of pattern and all, I don't know.
Oh yeah.
I remember being like, I hate these socks, and the feeling of them, oh, just put your socks on, So in reflection, would I do that with my girls? No. I'd be like, well, we ditch those socks and we get the seamless ones that aren't going to irritate you, because if just imagine you're getting poked constantly throughout the day, what's your tolerance level going to be like to
Oh,
cope
yeah.
with it? So just minimizing
Yes.
those things. Or if we put the Thermomix on, I give a warning because it's a loud noise. We all hate loud noises. Girls, about to put the Thermomix on, get your earmuffs. And we've all got earmuffs sitting in a basket,
It's
earmuffs on
perfect. Yes.
carefully, and we zhuzh the Thermomix. So
Yeah.
things like that, just having those little strategies. And if your child likes to chew and they're chewing their hair or they're chewing their shirt, get a chew necklace. There's actual necklaces, they're so cheap to get, that are made of like a rubbery silicone that are designed for that. Here, chew on your chew necklace, redirect it, because you're not going to stop it. They're doing it to calm themselves down. So just accepting them and just being like, yeah, we really don't like peopling very much in big groups, but we're going to go to the shops. We're going to do it for a short period of time. Then we're going to come home, and the rest of the day, we're just going to chill out to get over it. So having those little stop gaps, in the day, and not scheduling back to back to back to back to back. Like if we've got a birthday party on one weekend day, the next day's a nothing day.
Yeah.
We need to recharge the social batteries. And just being mindful of change and transitions, anything. Well, every child's usually like this.
Right.
If you're at the park and go, okay, home time, let's go, you're going to get a big reaction. Like,
it's too fast.
It's too fast. So, you need that transition. Okay, we're going to do 10 more pushes on the swing, and then it's time to go, and allowing the time to process and think about that, what's about to happen. Because in autistic children, or sensory processing, that kind of thing, that processing time might be a little slower. So you need to allow the gap between what you've said, space, and then the thing to happen. So just slowing everything down, simple, calm, going with the flow, but also having those anchor points through the day that the same thing will happen. Not a rigid routine per se, but just, every night after tea, after dinner, you might do bath, story, bed. And as long as that happens, it doesn't matter what time of the day that happens, as long as it's
the right order.
Yeah. That's kind of the stuff that we do in our household. Yeah.
That's so cool. So like the rhythms and stuff, would that be part of some calming methods that you would use? Or what else do you do to kind of create peace in the home?
Yeah, so we have a daily flow. So I am not about rigid routines. I think you're setting yourself up for failure. Yeah. Or, at 7 a.m. we do the thing. At 7:05 we do the thing. I mean, that to me is not a way to live.
Yeah.
You just put so much pressure on yourself. And we already have so much pressure in our world. I mean, why would you put that on yourself? So ours is more of a daily flow. So it doesn't matter if we get up at 6, 6:30, 7, whatever. We do the same stuff every day, just happens naturally. And most families do, like they don't realize that they have the same flow until you intentionally sit there and go, oh yeah, every day when I wake up, I do go and have a cup of tea before everyone wakes up. Oh yeah. And you start realizing what you do. Yeah. So the daily flow is probably the most important thing. We do calming activities. So at the moment we're loving the Calmer Kids online portal. They're an online program, and they have every day is like a 5-minute activity, for example. So they have mindful Mondays. I can't remember what the Tuesday is, like,
something
Tuesday,
themed.
I don't know.
Yeah.
And so and they do like a little exercise. So we've been getting on the laptop and opening that up, and it might be a guided meditation. It could be a coloring activity. And we just sort of sit there and do that intentionally every day. It's only 5 minutes, but we do it as a family. I really recommend that one. They're on Instagram, Calmer Kids, and I'm sure they've got a link for it. Yeah. Not a paid affiliate. I just really recommend it.
You just love it. I feel
so
you.
Sharing it. And just doing little things like that. And nature for us is really important.
Yes.
So getting out there in it, grounding, running around with no shoes on, that kind of thing, going to the beach. So if everyone's cooped up and getting cabin fever at home, just get out. Like, it doesn't matter what the weather is. I suppose if you've got snow, that's not something I deal with. So take that with a grain of salt. I don't know what you do in snow. I'm not equipped to deal with that.
It's a little trickier to ground when it's snowing.
No idea.
Right? It's a little cold.
I have no strategies to cope with snow.
Right.
I cannot help you with snow. We do not get snow. But if it was raining, for example, we still go out for a picnic.
Yeah.
We just do it in the back of the car, and we've got fairy lights, and we might sit in the rain.
Oh, it's
So,
amazing.
like you can still
Yeah.
do things. And that usually tends to calm them anyway, just by that change of scenery. So just moving location, even if it's from a different room or out to the deck or whatever, it can be really helpful. So yeah, having those calm down sort of points and anchors throughout the day is probably most helpful.
Yeah. I love that so much. We do a lot of those things as well. And it really makes such a difference in the calmness of the home when,
Yeah.
we all feel that. We feel that shift from getting outside or from grounding or just keeping the environment itself very calm. It's so helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. And
Yeah.
simple, I think. People in their
Yeah.
houses these days tend to have so much stuff and
Yeah.
clutter and an
Yes.
overabundance of toys. Like there is such a thing as too much. So if your child's play space or bedroom or wherever they usually exist
Hmm.
is overwhelming, that's also too much. So we actually use a Montessori philosophy in our house. So that is, I
Hmm.
have open shelving in a main communal play area. I have open shelving and I only have certain things out there at a time. So we might have, say, 10
Yeah.
activities or toys that are available to play with at any one time. Everything else is packed away and I sort of pay attention, and they might play with them for a week. They might play with them for 2 weeks. And then when they start to get bored and their behavior starts to
Yeah.
spiral a bit, I go, okay, it's time to switch it out. So then I take maybe half of those things off and I replace
Hmm.
it with something that I've ripped out of the archive tub, and then the interest is renewed. So then they're
Yes.
occupied, they
Yes.
have something to do, and it's not a huge big toy bin or a toy basket or a toy chest where they dump it
Right.
out.
Oh,
So
goodness. Yeah.
one, they don't know what's in there because they can't see it, so they don't know what their options are. And secondly, if you had someone that, if someone came over to your house and tipped your entire wardrobe out on the floor, how
Yeah.
would you feel? You'd be like, what? That's too much
So
stuff.
overwhelming.
So overwhelming. Whereas if you just keep the choices to a minimum, it's less to pack up too.
Hmm.
So another thing we use is we do one thing at a time. So
Yeah.
we get the one thing out, each child will get one thing out, play with the thing, put the thing back on the shelf. And so there is no big mess to clean up at the end of the day. There is no overwhelm when the house is trashed. We're just in that habit. So it does take a little bit to establish, but once you have established, oh, yep, I see you've already got one thing out. So you can get something else out next
Yeah.
after you put that away. And it's a simple boundary, really easy. And you will save yourself as well so much time, effort. You're
Yes.
not cleaning up
Yes.
everything. You're only cleaning up one thing at a
Hmm.
time usually. But
Yeah.
yeah, you can implement this right from baby and just
Hmm.
talk them through it. Yeah, it's really
Yes.
a good one because mess can be overwhelming for mums and kids. So
It's totally overwhelming. Like I am very overstimulated by mess.
me
And
too.
yeah, even when we had a house, we had a closet in our hallway that we used as a toy library, and it
Yeah.
had really high shelves. And so I kept all the extra things up there where they couldn't be reached. And then I did exactly what you said. And we would like rotate things out. And
Yeah,
it made such a difference in keeping the calm as well as the interest, right? Because when they can
absolutely.
choose from everything, I mean, it's kind of like us, right? Like if I have
Yeah.
too many choices, I get decision
Can't
overwhelm
choose.
and it's,
Yeah.
yeah. And then it's game over.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
so
Same
cool.
thing.
Yeah. So, and you're a Montessori teacher, or at least you used to teach in the classroom, right? Like what drew you to that philosophy?
What drew me to Montessori? Oh my gosh,
Mm.
so many things. So again, that
Yeah.
calmness and flow. And one of the things I love the most is it's all centered on the child. So,
Hmm.
in mainstream education, you've got 30 kids in the class, one teacher, you're teaching your curriculum that day, and you might have two kids in the class that are actually up to what you're teaching. The rest are above it, the rest are below it. And yet
Yeah.
that's our education system, right? And it's,
Hmm.
sit down, eyes on me. This is what we're doing. Don't everyone be quiet. And then you've got your playtime. And then you come back in, everyone be quiet again. I'm the teacher.
Yeah.
What's happening? So what I like about Montessori is it's completely different to that. It's every child in the classroom is usually doing something different. Mm-hmm. So they're all working at their level. Like Miss V, she's 4. She's been doing grade 2 stuff for ages because
she's incredible. Yeah.
She wants to. So she was at, I don't know how old she would have been now, 15 months old, sitting there making words up, sounding words out with a movable alphabet.
Oh my gosh.
Because she loved it. And then she went through a stage where she didn't want to do that anymore. She wanted to do, the playground and running and, the big gross motor movement. And she was able to do that because that's what she needed at the time.
Yes.
So now she's come back. She's interested in reading now. Whereas before I knew she was capable and I would offer, if you want to read, no. I'm like, okay. Mm-hmm. Whereas now she's actively approaching me and her teachers at school, let's do this reading, or Mum, can we do some maths together? I'm like, yeah, sure. What do you want to do? Yeah. And she might say number facts and she likes memorizing things, or she might want me to write out some sums and she'll count them out with buttons at home. Mm-hmm. You just follow, or it could be Play-Doh for a month. Who knows? Like, it's all about the child and where they're at. There is no above and behind in Montessori. They're just at where they are. They're not competing with anyone else. They're still meeting curriculum. Absolutely. We still follow here. It's the Australian curriculum. It's just delivered in a Montessori hands-on way. So they're learning through their whole senses. So it goes in better. And that's what I love about it. So it's individual. There's no pressure, no stress with it. There's no standardized testing. The teacher knows where the child is at, because we test on the fly all the time, but there's just no big kind of exam.
The big scary sit down and grab your pencil and fill in the little circles. I mean, that's how it is. Yeah. At least when I was young. Right. And it's stressful.
It's just a snapshot of that time.
That's so true.
In the classroom, we're monitoring all the time. So we know where each child is at all the time. We don't need one sit down exam to tell us where the child is. We know where they are. We're working with them every day. We see them. And we're always getting that feedback from them by things that we're doing. So, and I just love that. And I love that it's right from birth. That care of themselves, the care of their environment, like where we live, and practical skills that are setting them up for life, and to use their brain and not just, I'm telling you this is how it is, and that's what you're going to do.
Yeah, yes.
Or kids will question, okay, so why? Why is it like this? Why do I need to do that? And you're expanding their horizons. You're not just creating little robots. These little leaders, most of them grow up to own businesses. The royal family all send their, UK royal family send their kids to Montessori. Mm-hmm. So, like there's so many benefits. It's not a cult thing. There's a lot of misconceptions. It's not a cult. It's just learning normal stuff, but using hands-on materials and giving them individuality.
Yes. Oh my gosh. It's so cool. Yeah. My oldest, who is 11 now, she actually went to a Montessori preschool. And I remember the first time I walked in there, and I had read all the books, because in some ways I'm like you in the sense of like, when I find a topic that I love, I read everything on it until I feel like, a self-led expert on it. And so I had read all the books, and then I went into the actual classroom and I see all of these kids sitting on the floor, all working with different things, just totally engrossed. And it just completely blew my mind. And I feel like, and I would love to hear your experience with this as well, that foundation really informed how we homeschool, because we still really, even though we don't homeschool in a Montessori way, we still follow their interests and their lead and really let them decide where they're at. So what has that been like for you, integrating all of this into your homeschooling approach?
Yeah. So with Miss S, because she's that bit older, so when the children are younger, a lot of the teaching is around physical, hands-on, manipulative objects and activities, resources and whatnot. So as they get older, their focus naturally shifts away from those little things. Like, for example, if you're doing multiplication using a checkerboard as one of the materials, and you're counting the tiles out and moving them around and switching from your, your units to your tens to your thousands and all that sort of stuff. as they get older, that physical material actually gets in the way of their learning because they're past the sensitive period where they've got an innate love for that thing. So as they do get older, you find that there is less and less and less of those concrete physical materials. So in our homeschooling for Miss S, I don't have any particular Montessori materials here because she's kind of past that.
Right.
If I was homeschooling Miss V, then I would get some key materials here because that is integral to her learning at that stage of her development. But yeah, we just kind of go with the flow. So we have a bit of an eclectic homeschooling style, I guess. So Miss S has a couple of other diagnoses that come into play that affect how she learns. So I've kind of watched and observed her over time and figured out, oh, okay, if I just give her material to do, whether it's on a screen, like through IXL is a really good program.
Oh yeah, I'm familiar with that.
Yeah, it's like $125 Australian for a year. I mean, you can't go
amazing.
wrong, really.
Yeah.
So with that kind of thing, it's taking away a lot of her barriers. So she finds barriers in writing a lot. So we do very minimal actual writing. So IXL allows her to touch the answer. So I know that I'm isolating the skill, she's learning the thing, but she's the hard things taken away, which for her is the writing. We don't avoid it altogether. We do set writing tasks, or we do it with things like calligraphy or painting, or we're still kind of getting it through there, but it's spontaneous. Or I'll be like, let's go play kitchens, and you've got to write your menu because otherwise how am I going to know what to order? So sneaky getting her to write
good. Oh my gosh.
You can sneak so many things in.
I love it.
But things like that, and knowing that, if I just give her a worksheet, she kind of gets lost. Whereas if I sit beside her and physically read it to her, it's the same thing. It's the same question. If I just read it out loud, she'll be like, oh, yep. And she'll just do it.
Yeah.
So just knowing those little things about your child, it really allows you to individualize, and using life as learning as well. You can read about rainforests in a worksheet and color in the different levels of the forest canopy or whatever. But if you go out in a forest walk, you're going to learn it a lot better.
Absolutely. Oh yeah.
See the undergrowth, or, like that's just, you're experiencing it. They're going to remember those experiences because, again, they're using all their senses. So those kind of things are what we use. And putting the responsibility on her. So she has a little checklist every day. So in the Montessori classroom, the older they get, they usually have a lot more responsibility. So again, it's per child. One child might be okay if you gave them a daily checklist and just said, okay, get all of this done in your own time, but this is, after you've done this, you can do whatever, all of these other activities. This is your core work, or your first work, we call it. And then other children, you might give them the week's worth or the term's worth, and they just organize their time. A brilliant time management.
So cool. Yeah.
Miss S gets overwhelmed with term or monthly or weekly. So I give her a daily sheet, like a journal sheet kind of thing. And just a couple of first work items, which is her core stuff. And then after that, we're like, well, what do we want to do? So the other day, we made a nature mandala.
So cool.
We're sort of designing a garden. I've got my best friend helping me with that because not really my forte. So we get the help in.
Get the help. Yes.
So we're just sort of going with the flow, but we're using all the senses, putting the responsibility as appropriate on her for her learning as well. And in conjunction, it's collaborative. It's not dictated. You have to do these things. I'm like, okay, which one of these English topics are we going to cover today? Oh, I want that one and that one. Yep, cool. Let's go with it. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's so cool how you do that. And, your home environment, I feel like has really played a part in, like, it's almost like a cooperative part of how you parent is the impression I get. Because I know when we first met, I don't even know when it was, maybe years. Have you?
Yes.
I know. I was like trying to figure that out before we got on here of like, oh my gosh, when did Amanda and I meet online? And I genuinely, it has to have been like 3, 4, 5 years.
I don't even know.
Maybe. Yeah. Well, because I think we crossed paths based on our mutual interest in living simply and the minimalism and all of that, because at one point you were living in a tiny home
Yeah, tiny house on
Yes,
wheels.
that's
Mhm.
right. And then you transitioned into your current space that you built yourself, which is so freaking epic. So now that I
Yeah.
just mentioned a bunch of things, tell us a little bit about like your home environment and your home journey with the homes you've created along the way. So I think it's so cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
I am very transient. I'm a bit of a gypsy like that. I like
Hmm.
moving. I like creating. So a few years ago, I would flip houses. So we'd live in a house for, say, 14 months, do it up, renovate it, sell it, move on to the next one. And I love that sort of thing. And yes, you can do that with autistic children. You just involve them in the process. They can
Yeah.
cope with that kind of thing if you
Yes.
scaffold them. So things like I always kept their bedroom furniture the same and had a same
Hmm.
bedroom layout, for example, no matter where we were. They were very involved in every step of the way. They would come see the houses first, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, we decided to get a tiny house built. We actually had two of them, custom built
Yeah.
through Aussie Tiny Houses and custom design. So one of
So
them
cool.
it was so cool. Our tinies were rad. So one was my bedroom, bathroom, kitchen, and living, and it was in an L shape. And then the girls had their bedrooms in the other, all joined by a big deck, a huge, huge deck area. And we built that in the side paddock of my parents' property.
Hmm.
So we're about 65 meters away. I don't know how long that is in
I couldn't tell you either. I
feet or
think
something.
I think that there's like
Ages.
3 feet in a meter.
No
So,
idea.
right?
That's
Oh
also
gosh, this is
my
embarrassing. It's okay. And we're all good. No one is
Someone Google
listening
it.
and judging. Yeah.
No, it was a fair way. Okay, so
Yeah.
65 big steps
Yeah.
away from dad's, but yeah, so it was really good, and that space served us beautifully. And I love things that are different, so that
Oh
just suited
yeah.
us. And yeah, the more simple, the better. I don't have heaps of stuff. I don't like clutter anyway. It's overwhelming. So it was perfect for us. And the girls started to get that bit bigger and they started to fight in the communal
Yeah.
area. And
Yes.
they've never been ones to go and play in their bedrooms. That's not how they roll. So they don't really have toys in their rooms. It's kind of a sleep and chill out
Yeah.
space. So it's always playing the communal area. And because the communal area was so small and their bodies were physically getting bigger,
I totally
kind of
understand.
didn't work. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I sat with that and I thought, I'm just going to list for the tiny houses up for sale. I think it was on Marketplace or Gumtree or something. And I'll just see what happens. I'll just put it out there. Like if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. And we'll
Yeah.
just,
Yeah.
yeah, I sold them cash sale within 2 hours.
That's
And I was like,
insane. Insane.
I kind of went, wow, that's
Like, what do
good.
we do? Yeah.
Where are we going to live? So that was okay. I just roll with everything. So
Yeah.
what happened? We ended up renting a little duplex townhouse thing for 6 months, and Dad and I built our house where we are now. So it's where the tiny houses were. It's almost the exact same footprint of the whole thing.
Okay.
We've got a barn, so we live in a barn house.
So cool.
So yeah, with a huge deck and taking in the views, and yeah, so it's that bit bigger. So we've got 3 bedrooms, a study, and a main living, dining, play area. So
cool.
yeah, built it from scratch. So that was a good one. The girls helped with that and learning how to use drop saws and hammered.
Very practical
Everything.
life.
Yeah. Yeah. We're going to learn some skills today. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it was really cool, when you were in the process of building and you would send me photos of you like tiling the bathroom and like doing, and I was so impressed with you and just, what I have observed about you is that if there is a skill that you don't have and you need it, you just figure it out and you learn it and you see yourself as so capable. And because of that, you create whatever it is that you want.
Well, I kind of have the mindset, and this is what I tell the mums that I coach with as well.
Yeah.
There's no good reason why not.
Yeah.
Like that's pretty much my answer for everything.
I love it. Yes.
I need to tile this bathroom. I mean, I'd be lost without my dad because he's taught me most of this over the years, and he's not a builder, he's ex-army. So, he's just learned the skills.
He's learning it too. Yeah.
Yeah, that's how I've learned it. But, well, I'm just going to tile the bathroom because there's no good reason why not. Like, why not?
Yes. Yes.
No, I want to
Yes.
live in a tiny house. Well, there's no good reason why not.
Hmm.
I want to create this entire business around my girls, homeschooling, we've got a team of practitioners for each single one of us. So the amount of appointments we have are phenomenal. I
Yes.
can't do a 9 to 5 job. It's not possible.
You're right.
But I'm a single mum. So here I am supporting my girls. My girls always come first, and I refuse to miss a single sports day, morning tea at school, whatever,
Yes.
whatever their
Yes.
thing is. And so I'm creating my whole business around them. And why not? There's
Yeah.
no good reason why not.
Yes. Yes. Well,
So
and can we just talk about like, okay, so you came into coaching with me last July, right?
probably
Is that July
no,
2021? Don't worry, I
do
keep
not.
track. I remember all the details. But you came into coaching with that mindset, right? Of like, I want to create this, and your business has just been flourishing ever since. And now you've launched a whole e-course, a whole program.
Mhm.
So tell us a little bit about that process, and also about your program that is like about to happen, because it's so epic.
It is a bit epic. I will
Yeah.
say it is pretty epic. But it was through coaching with you because I have the skills to help
Mm.
families, help mums. I'm Montessori qualified. I have multiple coaching
Oh
qualifications myself.
yeah.
I'm, qualified to assess children and adults and create courses and things like that. But as well as obvious lived experience as a parent
Absolutely.
of autistic children and as an autistic person myself, I can actually give that dual,
Yes.
perspective. A lot of people can't do that. That's not theory for me. It's lived experience.
Yes.
So
Makes
that
you so
really,
unique in that regard.
yeah. And a lot of mums have said that to me. They're like, yeah, our therapists, and always, get the therapy, like absolutely for
Yeah.
you, for your kids, have a psychologist, have a psychiatrist, like do the things. But some of the times they say, a lot of it's theory, but that doesn't work in real life. So that's where I come in on the real life level, on the daily.
Yes.
Like, there's big skills and concepts. They're awesome. What does that look like in real life? Like, how does
Yeah.
that actually work? And there's a gap there a lot of the time. So that's where
Yes.
I come in. And a lot of the time, yes, we get on a big tangent about that. And when I started working with you, it
Hmm.
was like life changing because although I have these skills, I have zero, or had
Yes. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
zero business skills. I had no
Mm-hmm.
clue what it would look like to run a business, what was even needed. And still, I mean, more than anyone, I really struggle with technology. I wish I was still in the 80s
Oh my
with
gosh,
no
right?
mobile,
We need
living
a
my best life.
typewriter, and yeah. I mean, but you have
Right.
done you have done so amazing with the tech, all things considered, right? Because
Right.
yeah, it has been such a journey since we first started, of like you figuring out the basic things, and now you're like messaging me and you're like, yeah, and then I did this thing, and then I figured out this behind the scenes thing on this website, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like you have
Right.
just, yeah, yeah, it's
Yeah.
so amazing to see.
Look at me doing the
I
technology.
know.
But
Yeah.
doing Insta lives and then not knowing how to turn it off, that kind of thing, that's me. But I'm progressive. So like it's been fundamental working with you.
Yeah.
And then it was through all of that I thought, well, how can I help the most families as possible? How can I be
Yes.
accessible for them? Because not everyone can do one-on-one coaching. So what are
Right.
options? And so I put together this entire course. So my course is Parenting 101, simple strategies for, autistic kids and those who don't fit in the box. So it
Yes.
is an online package. So
Hmm.
it's delivered in a text format as well as audio. So you can, press play and do the dishes at the same time. I got you.
Amazing.
Not everyone is
Yes.
visual. So I've done it in both formats. And you also get 6 group coaching sessions as well. So you can use those sessions to be like, hey, Mandy, I tried XYZ and it didn't quite work, or it almost worked, or it got better and then it got worse, or oh my gosh, this was amazing.
Yes.
Or this whole other things popped up. Can you help me with it? So you have access to me to,
So
really
cool.
segment and make it specific for your family. And I think that's really important.
Yeah.
For any child. So they're simple, like the name says, simple strategy. Because a lot of other parenting courses out there, they're good in theory, like I said, but in real life, not so much. So this is actual, practical, simple strategies that truly do work. I know because I use them myself, and I also have taught countless other children and families these principles, and it works for them too. And it's not just for autistic children, it's for any children. I just have extra in there for children that may have ADHD, you know, PDA, is that pathological demand avoidance, ODD, the oppositional defiance disorder, autism, like anxiety, or just a really sensitive soul. So I've got extra in there for those children. It's not essential that, oh, my child's not autistic, so I can't do this course. Yes, you can. There's just extra. And I give you scripts. I give you real life examples. I give you, it's so practical.
Yes.
You know? Group coaching, I think, is what sets it apart, because it can be specific to your family, and you can bounce things back off me. And you get access to the, private Facebook community as well. So there's other like-minded mums in there that in between the coaching sessions, you might post up a thing and bounce ideas off each other. And everyone, that you're not alone in this. There's other people struggling. And if they say they're not, how true is that?
Well,
because
and it's
real. This is real life, you guys. And, it's so easy to feel isolated and alone, or I'm the only one having this problem. You're not. I promise you, you're so not. And, it's important to surround yourself with folks that are going through this as well. And we'll just build each other up. And I think that's really important.
I mean, it makes such a difference to have community, but also have someone who gets it, who can guide you in a non-judgmental and supportive way. And it just makes all the difference to have that. And I really love too how simple you made it. Because, obviously we both work with moms, right? And that is such a barrier for most women, is that they're carrying so many roles. They have such a heavy weight on their shoulders already. And then to have to start making like shifts in the way that they parent and they do home life. If it's too complicated, most mamas are just going to throw in the towel and just say, I'm just going to keep doing it how I've been doing it, because it's too overwhelming to create the change. But you've done it in such an easy, accessible way that they can't help but make it all the way through and have that support in the process.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all about the little things, actually. This is not, you're not, fundamentally shifting your entire day and everything about the way you parent. It's about little tiny bits and pieces throughout your day that are going to create new habits. And then you'll look back and be like, look at me nailing the things, because it's just become so normal for you. But these are little tiny bits. It's not, overwhelming. You've got so much pressure. People have so much pressure on them these days, like you said, with all the different roles and things we carry. The last thing you need is more pressure. And this course is designed to take the pressure off you. That's what's different about it.
Oh my gosh. It's so incredible that you're offering that.
Yeah.
Okay. So for everyone listening who's like, oh my gosh, I need this, or I need to find Amanda and like connect with you, give us all the details of like, where are you on the internet?
All right. I am in multiple places on the internet.
Aren't we all, right?
Yes. So I am on Instagram and Facebook under Amanda Lee Consulting. And I have my own website, which has everything about me, how to work with me, my Parenting 101 course, and my Montessori 101 course, which is an online Montessori course that folks can access for about 0 to 6 year old. That course is appropriate. And it is www.amandaleeconsulting.biz, B-I-Z. So
Perfect.
That is where I'm at.
Oh my gosh.
On there.
Go find Amanda. And she has the best Instagram. Actually, my husband Kirk was telling me earlier, we were talking about you, and he was like, she puts out the best content. And I was like, I know, right? Like My husband's paying attention to your social, just so you know.
Yeah.
I
I
know, right?
love that. Thanks, you
Yeah.
guys. But that's the thing is what I post is real life. Like this
Yeah.
is how I live. I live this, and it's not a fake. I'm not
It's
telling you
you.
guys to do
Yes.
something, that I haven't already done or am doing every
Mm-hmm.
day. So that's what I
Mm-hmm.
mean. I know it works, and this is our real life. This is us, the good, the bad, the whatever. It's how we are. So
Yeah.
yeah, I suppose I put it out there.
Well, I mean, we all need more transparency in the online world. So it's very refreshing. And everyone go check out Amanda. Amanda, obviously I love talking to you, right? And I'm just so grateful that we got this time together today. Thank you so much for sharing all of your wisdom. I just know in my heart that there is at least one mama who needed to hear this and have her eyes opened to see that there are solutions and possibilities. So thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks so much for having me. Always love talking to you too.